Shining Sarcophagus takes down a special top 8. Now make sure you guys smash the living crap out of this subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Now this is actually really cool to see that out of the Iraq Nationals out here, that we had Mitsurugi only taking 2 spots, actually. It is kind of refreshing to see that there wasn't a complete and utter domination out here, but that's okay. Now, there was a lot of cool rogue for this event that really made this event something special. Now, you did have Malice. Let's just get that out of the way. So 3 of your top cut was kind of what you expected. We did have some Yubel representation. I feel like that's a pretty common thing to see. That Yubel is going to, kind of take over a lot of the weird places and do pretty well. We also had White Forest as well. White Forest actually ended up winning this event, which was really no major surprise there. And of course, we had a Fire King challenger stepping into the arena. Now, Fire King, you've all seen that this build has been pretty much popping off every once in a while. The deck has excellent control options, board breaking capabilities. It really just doesn't care what's going on. Its job is just to board break and go. Now, we also had a dinosaur list popping up for this event, which was one of the things that caught me off guard, because I didn't really think dinosaur would be looping on around out here doing things. But, I feel like the more that we kind of underestimate dinosaurs, the more that deck just kind of creeps on around the corner and, just makes things go prehistoric, actually. And we had a Shining Sarcophagus Fiendsmith pile. Yeah, you heard me say that correctly. That's the combination of ideas that you're able to work with out here. But the Shining Sarcophagus deck, I think, is one of the coolest things that I've had the chance to see out of this format, and that's saying something. Let's pass on over to deck list. So starting things off here, we have Fiends. Just kidding, it's White Forest. Going with the 1LZ. I feel like this is a pretty common thing at this point, that you're just going to play the 1LZ as a mean in this deck. Going with the triple LZ themselves, and of course, the triple Diabellstar. Yes. You love to see the interactions. And then, of course, the big ones here, just getting the job done. Truthfully, for what is left for this deck, you do play one of each of the big sisters. You're never going to change that. I do see the inclusion of Droll here, which is pretty good as well. And then, of course, one of each of the traps doing their job, to make sure that you can get set up and so forth. Truthfully, there's not a lot of room you kind of make into this. Yeah, playing the Tact Talents is probably a tech choice. Having the droplets built into the main deck if you need them for board breaking. I think that this is all pretty standard stuff. Next up here, we have Fire King. Okay. Well, the first thing I see is we're going with 2 copies of Skyburn, because, being able to board break the opponent, Gas 5,000 is pretty good. We've also are not playing Pot of X-Trap. The thing that kind of made Dinka's list originally very strong, times have changed here. Let's call it what it is. You're going to see a lot more of the shift arounds in the course of the meta with the things that people are choosing to bring, and that's okay. You have to see that. Times are good. Garua and Mudragon. Maximizing triple super poly for 2 targets. Interesting that they didn't build in the Dragostapelia. Didn't build in any of those other power cards that you might need. I guess they just didn't come up. And also, I guess you can go through triple copies of Hyang in a game. I feel like if you're going through triple of this, though, that's a lot of resource burning. All right, interesting. Next up here. Hello, Animadored Archazor. Oh boy. Well, it appears that good old Archazor is getting a special showing out here because, Dinosaur Fiendsmith was not on my budget sheet of things to see, but I also got to give a shout out down here to Super Poly yet again. This event very much loved the idea that you could just kind of Super Poly vacuum up kind of as much as stuff as you really needed to. And also, Dinosaur's already going to want to go second, so just slamming the Super Poly in here was a good call. We can't hate on the idea of having this be present here to make sure that we can do our job. Also, side decking the additional Super Poly as well. Yeah, All of these options are incredibly good for what you want to be seeing out here. Also, hello Desiree, how are you? The fact that they found room to incorporate this into the deck. Oh boy. Alright, next up is Fiendsmith Yubel. You are not going to play this deck unless you are playing the Fiendsmith stuff in here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it at this point in time. This is going to be the way to go about this. Even with, I see Shavara here at multiples, it is interesting to see that they did initially choose just to stick with that. So that's kind of cool. Hey, man, if Shavara is not bulking you down, that's kind of cool. Also, we are playing the Harris in here as well. I like the Harris. When the Harris does end up showing up, I feel like this card ends up being extra, like, spicy when it needs to be. You don't really tend to think about it too much, but if the Harris is going to be an option for your deck, it's going to work out relatively well for you. Also, I see we have the red resonator down here for time. If need be. Who doesn't love free life point gain? It's also a fiend, so you already get that extra manipulation in this deck. Next up here is Mitsu Good Stuff. I can't help but be humored by how much these decks end up looking the same these days, man. I'm going with the triple Amino Murakumo and, of course, the 1/7 Tachyon. Thing is, you don't have to really feed too much into the deck because if I've already got the Searcher for the brick, I don't need to play the extra versions, or at least that's the logical standpoint. But there'll be some times where you'll need to open up the 7th in order to kind of get things going. And you're going to feel a little bit frustrated if you can't actually get to that part of the combo to kind of get things going. That's why, I can understand the 1 to 3 argument, but you don't really want to fatten the deck up too much on that front. So, interesting numbers for what we're working with, but I'll take it. It's something, that's for sure. Next up here we have more Mitsu. This is the Mitsurugi Fiendsmith. We're going with triple Tragedon here first of all, which is I guess kind of nice. To be fair, your spell lineup is just no Tactowns, no Thrust. We've just chosen not to include any of the extra options that I feel like you get with this format. They're just straight down to business. They're like full Fiendsmith combo, send it. We can get to where we need to be. Okay. I mean, sure, going with 2 copies of Aramasa with 1 Kusanagi, 1 Saji as well. Hey man, in terms of, modern day innovation, if you can slap something this basic together, not worry about the extra fat and the tech choices that you feel like you're going to need, well, ship it. Be successful out here and do it. I mean, this deck was able to make top 8, so that's something really, really freaking cool to see, and I actually do appreciate that. Next up here, we have Fiendsmith, Dark Magician, Sarcophagus, Turbo at 48 cards. Now, I will say, yeah, 48 cards, a little bit fat. It's not really that big of a deal. I mean, you've got 1 Gandora in here to try to OTK. Big thing is you're going to do most of your Fiendsmith stuff to set up Desiree and kind of go. That's why I kind of like the idea of this, is you're just going to turbo down this line. And then, we can get to the Gandor. If we need a board break, you got Bystials for the Forms of Interruption. You're scraping up cards and taking care of cards of these. You've got Super Polys for board breakers as well. This deck relatively can break a board, in my opinion, decently well. That's what, Big Daddy Gandora is for. And honestly, I think you might be surprised to see how good Gandora can actually be at being a board breaker creature. But outside of that, awesome to see that this deck actually ended up working out. And then, of course, yeah, we had to toss Malice back here. Even in this part of the world, even Malice is getting bobbed. It didn't even have a chance, man. Going with 1 of each of the trap cards. I see that we are side decking the I Meet You, which is fine. Also going with the different dimension grounds, of course, right? I mean, having a temporary macro Cosmo just works out massively in your favor and forces your opponent to kind of revalue, their end board situations. But this event turned out really cool. Honestly, I'm just here for the dinosaur and the Shining Sarcophagus stuff. But to all the competitors, I hope you guys had a good blast. And to those watching, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, all right? Patrons! Thank you. Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.